The restaurant was buzzing the way only small-town diners do on a weekday afternoon. Silverware clinked, orders were shouted from the kitchen, and laughter rose from the corner booth where 3 construction workers sat swapping stories. To anyone else, it was just another Tuesday. But for one young waitress balancing plates and dreams bigger than her paycheck, this would become the day her life split in two, the before and the after. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. She was used to customers who left loose change instead of tips or those who barked their orders without so much as a glance into her eyes. That day, however, something different happened. A man she'd seen on television 1,000 times. A face she knew from countless films, one that seemed larger than life, sat at one of her tables. She tried to play it cool, pen poised over her notepad, smile fixed, but her heart thumped so loudly she was certain the whole diner could hear. Denzel Washington. Of all the people to walk through the creaky glass door, it had to be him. And yet he was kind, calm, and almost unassuming. He ordered a simple meal, thanked her warmly, and left a tip that would later become more valuable than any paycheck she'd ever earned. When she returned to clear the table, she saw the folded receipt tucked beneath the edge of the plate. At first, she thought it was just a generous gratuity, maybe a polite word of encouragement. But as her eyes scanned the handwritten note, her body froze. Her hands trembled. The words burned into her memory with a force that shook her to her core. "You are my sister's daughter. I've been looking for you for 29 years. The signature at the bottom, Denzel W. was unmistakable. But it wasn't just the note that undid her. Attached with a small piece of tape was an old photograph of a baby girl, eyes wide and innocent. Her mother's name scrawled across the back in fading ink. Monique's daughter, 1996. Her knees buckled beneath her. She gasped as though the air had been stolen from the room. The baby in the photograph, she recognized her own face. A face she'd seen in the few surviving adoption papers she kept tucked away in a shoebox. Patrons turned in their seats, forks hanging mid-air as she collapsed, sobbing openly in the middle of the restaurant. A coworker rushed to her side, panicked, but she could only whisper the same phrase over and over through her tears. He knows who I am." Denzel had only stepped out to his car. When he returned, finding her broken on the tiled floor, he dropped to his knees without hesitation. The movie star, the Hollywood icon, became just a man, a brother keeping a promise. He wrapped her in his arms, his voice breaking as he whispered, "I promised my sister I'd find you one day, and I finally did." The entire diner, moments earlier filled with laughter and chatter, fell silent. In that embrace, something much larger than celebrity unfolded. The redemption of a family secret long buried. Years earlier, Denzel's sister had faced the kind of choice no young woman should ever face. Pregnant and abandoned by the father of her child, she was pressured by those around her, and by the heavy hand of Hollywood image-making, to hide the pregnancy. Adoption was arranged quietly, swept under a rug that became heavier with every year. But Denzel never forgot. He carried his sister's words like a mission. Find her, protect her, make sure she knows she was never unwanted. For nearly 3 decades he searched. Rumors, dead ends, and whispers from old friends led him nowhere. Until recently. A chance conversation, a whispered tip that she might be working in a small southern diner, reopened the trail. Without her knowing, he arranged for a DNA test, quietly, respectfully, through a trusted friend who confirmed what his heart had already told him the moment he saw her name tag, her smile, her eyes that mirrored those of the sister he had lost too soon. The results had just come back when he slid that note beneath the check. He hadn't wanted to overwhelm her in front of strangers, but fate has a way of rewriting the script, even for Hollywood's greatest actors. The aftermath was a whirlwind no one could have predicted. News spread quickly, because how could it not? A waitress, long convinced she was alone in the world, discovered she was the niece of one of the most respected men in Hollywood. Talk shows lined up to feature her story. Oprah's team reached out. Ava DuVernay whispered about turning the story into a film, already envisioning scenes of heartbreak and reunion that audiences would never forget. People debated online. Was it destiny, a miracle, or just the persistence of a man who refused to let fame erase his humanity? For the waitress, now thrust into a world she had only ever seen on screens, life became surreal. Denzel didn't just embrace her as family. He offered her a future. He made her the sole heir to his private foundation, ensuring she would never again have to worry about choosing between rent and groceries. He invited her to join him on set, even promising a role in an upcoming Netflix project inspired by her own life. More than the money or the fame, though, it was the belonging that undid her. For the first time, she knew her story mattered, that her life had been a thread in a tapestry larger than she could have imagined. In one of the most emotional live interviews, she looked straight into the camera, her voice steady despite the tears brimming in her eyes, and said, "I always thought I was alone, but he was searching for me the whole time, and I forgave everyone who gave me up the moment he walked back into the room." Viewers around the world wept with her. Social media erupted with stories of lost family members, of reunions long hoped for, of the power of never giving up on the ones you love. But perhaps the most powerful part of the story is the question it leaves all of us with. How many of us are walking through life unaware of the hidden stories that bind us to one another? How many secrets sit tucked away in family histories, waiting for the right moment to be uncovered? And what would we do if, one ordinary afternoon, a note scribbled on the back of a receipt shattered everything we thought we knew about who we are? This story is not just about a Hollywood star or a waitress in a small-town diner. It's about the promises we keep, the family we fight for, and the belief that even when the world tells us something is impossible, love can outlast time, distance, and silence. It challenges us to think about the people we may have lost touch with, the relatives we never called back, the friends we let drift away. Because maybe, just maybe, they're out there waiting for us too. And so the call to action is simple. Don't wait. Reach out. Make the call. Write the letter. Keep the promise. Because the truth is, we never know when an ordinary Tuesday could become the day everything changes. The day we discover that the family we thought we'd lost was searching for us all along.